Welcome to the 2013 SCVR official grand opening. This has probably been one of the most anticipated events of our time and all of our followers, and you're sure not going to want to miss it, so stick here and watch. This is going to be a two-day event, Saturday, Sunday, and will feature on the first day 11 steam locomotives operational, and on the following Sunday around 7 or 8 steam locomotives that are yet to be undecided yet. All the locomotives outside the shop are simmering away, waiting to be oiled and ready for their turn to get on the line. This event is going to feature a variety of steam motive power, anything from 040s to 2662s, and everything in between, such as climaxes, saddle tankers, and big rod engines, and mainline steamers like the 462. We got it all. The diesels will only be on display for this event, mainly because the steam locomotives are the stars of the show. It is also very important to make sure that each locomotive is fully oiled before leaving the shop. I will guarantee you that the majority of your time will be spent in the SCVR Roundhouse Terminal area, mainly because there are so many different displays of steam and diesel power that you're able to see and watch, as well as visit the awesome operating turntable, as well as tour the SCVR Roundhouse and multiple shop facilities to see the behind-the-scenes work that goes on after hours. The only steam locomotives on display are our operational ones, which will be operating on Sunday. There are also this other project, which is a Seabold Locomotive Works project. It's a 1960s 12040 booster owned by John Miner, J.M. Colts 95. It is just being displayed as a product of the Seabold Locomotive Works. It is not yet finished, but it is getting close with each passing week. There is SCVR number 8 and C&O number 425. Both will be operating on Sunday. This is SCVR number 98, which will also be operating on Sunday. There's a new arrival, which has actually been with us since 2005, but not the SCVR. Southern 060 number 1550, pulled from its display site to be restored as an SCVR engine. Here are the diesel locomotives, which will be on display. They are fully operational. You're allowed to view them. While you're here, you're also able to view the impressive Seabold Locomotive Works shop, which is an outside contract repair shop for people like you watching. Got a locomotive? We'll repair it. We have our own locomotives in here, which are privately owned by myself, and they're being actively worked on. You can see our products are on display. We will be offering Caboose trains by our only operational steam locomotive, Roundhouse 442 number 605. These are just some of the items that we do. This is our newest arrival, a Keystone 2-truck Shay, which is now on display on a flat car. These kits are made and sold as non-operational. You have to buy separate NWSL power kits, and they are not made anymore, so they're very hard to find. We have been able to find one, and it should be here within the week, and we're going to make this locomotive operational. We just wanted to have something on display of the Shay. Here's one of our newest products. It's a custom auxiliary tender made out of old Tyco Chattanooga power torque tender. Used our bench grinder to completely remove the bunker, so it's all flat, looks like an auxiliary tender. Put Athearn dummy wheels on it, couplers on both sides, so now it's almost ready for auxiliary service. Just got to build the cover for it. Here's our little shop goat, John Deere EMD 40 Critter, Harvester Works number 4, and is our shop goat, and we'll be shunting things around. These are the cabooses that we'll be using for our caboose train. You can see the also other displays, which are not really even displays, they're just other projects we have not finished yet. 2 auxiliary tenders to our 2 main steam locomotives, number 605 and number 3. Here is a 1974 River Odyssey 080, currently undergoing heavy restoration. But the fun is no doubt inside the shop, with many locomotives and parts being actively worked on. Watch, ask any questions you like. Go around and behind the shop, see the other projects working on for clients. there's number 3, greeting you at the door. The possibilities are endless of what you want to do. You can ride the yard tour trains, which will take you to the main shop, which you see right here, and you're allowed to tour all the locomotives inside and outside the main shop as a shop tour. You can ask any questions you like, not a problem. You can also take the main trips, which go down to Saugus the other way, and the other way is going down to Fillmore, which will be powered by our more heavier type locomotives. Whether you come Saturday or Sunday, doesn't matter. You don't want to miss this rare event. And we won't have steam-ups like this every month. Our steam-ups usually consist of about 4 or 5 locomotives that are only pulled out, that are actively changed really, and once a month, 1 week in a month is when we do our SCVR steam-ups, but they are nothing compared to the grand opening of this. Now enough talking, because obviously it seems like 407's heading out. So enough talking, let's enjoy the trains. Here we see Norfolk and Western 2662, number 1192, coming off the turntable, ready to go to work. Here we see our other 2662, number 25, getting ready to go hook up with number 1192 for a 2662 doubleheader. Here we see the 2662 doubleheader coming around the corner and back up to the SCVR main. The doubleheader is seen passing the Seawood Locomotive Works. Here we see the 2662 doubleheader coming inside of the inner main line so they can go to the station and let off its passengers. After uncoupling from their train, number 25 and number 1192 head back to the main staging yard. After a long double-headed run, number 25, number 1192 heads back to the roundhouse. The next steam locomotive brought out is SCVR's Climax number 1. And now that the switch is thrown straight, number 1 can presume and back down onto a train at the station. As number 1 string comes toward the camera, she switches on to the outer main line. After returning from Fillmore, number 1 returns to the station to let off the passengers. After dropping off the passengers at the station, number 1 takes her train back to the yard, because for the next excursion train, SP number 2486 will be pulling a different consist. No doubt the Mainline steam fan's been waiting for this, the return of Southern Pacific number 2486. She was operational up until August of 2012, when her old motor burnt out due to a really nice smoke unit, unfortunately. And she sat out of service until just fairly recently when we got donated. A Union Pacific 462 was donated to us, and it had a missing cow catcher and we weren't going to use it, so I decided I'd just take the frame of it and put 2486's boiler, pilot beam, and pilot and trailing wheels on it, being they're in better shape, and the tender on it, and just make 2486 run again. And now she is. She isn't as quiet as she used to be. The motor's a little bit loud, even with lubrication and everything. But that's really fine. I really just wanted to get her back operational again. The tender light still works, because you have the wire hooked up again, but the headlight does not. That's fine though, I really don't care. I'm just really happy to get this locomotive back in operation. And no one really even knew. You'd have to be part of a Facebook group, website. You'd have to be in the know with my railroad to know that she was even out of service. But now she's back in service with an older frame for the 1960s. Because she was originally built in 2001, the last year of Montour production. But now she's back in service, pulling a 3 custom SCVR coach train. We rebuilt all 3 of those coaches, 2 of them last year and 1 during our rebuild process of the line, a new building process when we did. That's when we built the 3rd one. So now all 3 newly rebuilt SCVR coaches. And 2486 is ready to highball on the main line. Here 2486 enters back into the SCVR main stage. Because there are coaches on the line ahead of her, 2486 has to back out of the station with her train. We take a break from the action to once more visit the SCVR Roundhouse Terminal area. The locomotive on the turntable is the SCVR's pride and joy, the little Montour 1970s 040 shifter. Formerly purchased by Hyde's dad way back in the 1970s, it arrived here in Santa Clarita for Hyde's main fleet in 2007. It was in deplorable shape, missing just about every key part in the locomotive, and everything else was just plain worn out. Spent 5 years rebuilding it, and then ownership was exchanged and was turned over to the SCVR in 2011, where the restoration was therefore finished. And the locomotive was operational for Hyde's birthday. He made it so that it was going to be done before his birthday in 2012, and he did. And now the locomotive recently just got a boiler respray before the old line was torn down, and just a full Maintenance check, regular maintenance, everything is perfectly fine. The locomotive has new drive wheels and new rods, new tender. This is all applied off a part supply, but the boiler, the frame, and the cylinders are all original. And we're just giving turntable demonstrations on the hand crank at this turntable. Show the viewers how the turntable works. Oops, sorry there. There are 21 stalls or rail slots on this turntable. Only 15 of them are actually being used by a track. So there's still 6 spaces where there could be track, but there's just not because we don't need that much. And that is how the SCVR turntable works. An interesting feature that the SCVR allows, both now and the grand opening and during its steam-ups, is the yard tour. And that allows you, we'll usually have a saddle tanker like number 66, which will be pulling us, and it'll take you around the back of the roundhouse and the terminal area and those shops around there. Then we'll go all the way up to the main shop, and you're allowed to get out and tour the main shop. So it's quite fun. It's a interesting thing. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see. Alright, let's get going. You can see we're right now at the roundhouse. Just giving you kind of a view of it. It looks like from behind. Now we're coming up on the current auxiliary shop, which is in a sense the current active repair shop. Outside the shop right here you can see frame to an 040. It's a lifelike tea kettle 040. Slowly undergoing a rebuild. All the gears were cracked, and we just rebuilt the drivers. We rebuilt the gears on it, and this the motor and everything is just mounted basically just for weight, so it's not tipping over on one side. And this is the MU motor truck to a recently acquired Montua Alco C430. The motor wouldn't turn over, so we got a huge rebuild ahead of us, but it was part of the deal. Now you can see the red shop, which is right there. The red shop is obviously the smallest shop that the SCVR has at the primary moment, and it is basically just housing some current restoration projects that progress as time permits. But outside it, you can see another little tea kettle. It was an 040 tea kettle, but we're making it into a 242. You can see behind it, underneath behind it where the oil bunker is. See, we built a new oil bunker for it. And underneath you can see the newly machined wheels that are going to be the trailing and the pilot and the trailing wheels. And they have been machined, and now they're all brand new. They're newly made, and we're just going to be getting the truck soon so we can make it a 242. Works perfectly fine. We just gave it a new respray, and now it's SCVR number 4. It formerly was B&O number 25. The drivers are in front of it, and inside the shop you can see Southern 42 number 1491 undergoing heavy rebuild. Ownership changed to SCVR just recently, and it should be done sometime late 2013 this year. And right next to the number 4 is the shell or the boiler to number 25, which you saw back there behind the auxiliary shop, the frame to it. Over there, if you look over there on your right, you can see SP number 1277. It is we've had it since 2011, but then ownership changed to the SCVR just recently, and we got it all repaired. But then we had major problems with the running gear hanger and the valve gear bracket, and that is why it's not operational right now. We are thinking about repairing it tonight and getting it ready for Sunday, tomorrow's runs, but we still have made no further decision on that, because right now we really don't need that many locomotives operational, but you know, eventually we're going to have to put it back. There is a also newly recently acquired Chessie Tyco Alco C630, sorry, Super 630, and this locomotive was recently given to us, and It somewhat runs, but it needs heavy wheel cleaning, oiling, trucks reinstalled, the whole work, basically just the works. Right now we're passing Sherwood Valley Logging 26662 number 25. Saw it in the double header with 1192. And this is where you stop and get off. You can go tour the SCVR main shop yards. Well, right over there you can see SP 2486, which we just saw moments ago, pulling its mainline train. Back here at rest. This will be a future auxiliary shop once we get the funds for that. Here's a recently acquired and rebuilt Model Power 040 Fat Boy Rare Pennzoil number 12. New boiler jacket paint, repaired headlight, cowcatcher, new drawbar, entirely machined, new tender truck axle. It's got a lot of nice stuff, and they'll be running tomorrow for day 2 of their grand opening. Over here is a Bachmann UP 282 number 2528. And it is somewhat operational, but it needs a lot of rod work, which is why it's not operating today and won't be tomorrow, because it's just not a reliable runner at present time. It needs a little bit of rod work, like I said, and we'll be getting it operational soon for future steam-ups. And there's Climax number 1, which we saw earlier in the program. Just simmering away outside. Inside the kind of dark main shop, there's no engine on track 3. And inside you really can't see a whole lot, but there is 2 engines inside, and there is an engine way back there. Barely even see. But yeah, but you're allowed to tour the main shop behind it as well. This is a repair yard for right now. Various other Caboose Locomotive Works contract projects are here, as well as SCVR number 5858. But it's basically just a storage yard for right now. But yeah, you're allowed to tour all this during any steam-up event. And this is what the yard tours basically offer. Here we see the train we just rode, the yard tour train, being pulled by SCVR number 66. It's about to come across a switch so that it can turn and go inside to the turntable roundhouse area. And here, just outside the turntables, where the SCVR yard tour train stops, just to let off people and go tour the roundhouse area, which you've already seen a number of times, but might as well do it again. Many different things here to see. '66 and couples from the excursion car to go back to the shops and rest for the night. SCVR number 5 will pull the last train around the main stage to give tours one last chance at the line before it closes for the night. Before we go see the last SCVR train for the day, we thought we'd stop and go watch the Caboose Locomotive Works Caboose trains. These are only running for this occasion. The Caboose Locomotive Works has their own steam-up event somewhat every other month, every 2 months, and it really just features SSW 442 number 605, which you see on the left. It operates its special 5 matching coach excursion and just pulls it all across the SCVR line. And during the occasion, while the train is off and running on the line, we do have our EMD 40 John Deere Critter running Caboose trains and shunting people around, giving people a ride around the shop. It's a fun little engine to have. Great shop good. And why don't we watch number 605 in action. The Caboose trains are really just running around the SCVR main stage. Kind of like a yard tour, but just behind a 442 Atlantic and Cabooses. And before you know it, the train is back here at the Seaboard Locomotive Works. There are a variety of tours that we offer of both the shop and of the locomotives themselves in operation. If you want to learn more about that, go to SeaboardLocomotiveWorks.weebly.com. Number 5 came down with mechanical issues, so an emergency call, number 407, was called to handle the last train. And as the roundhouse doors close, that concludes Day 1 of the SCVR Grand Opening. Hope to see you guys back for Day 2. Welcome to Day 2 of the Santa Clarita Valley Railroad, or SCVR Grand Opening. Today we will feature 8 steam locomotives all fired up and running their own trains. A few double headers in there, possibly just one, but we were working on another one. But just sit back and enjoy the SCVR Day 2 of the Grand Opening. Before any of the trains begin, some switching needs to be done, so the locomotives that will be operating today, which are housed inside the auxiliary shop you see over there with the yellow doors, they need to have a clear entrance so they can get onto the turntable. Therefore, locomotives and tank car in front of it need to be switched and removed out of it. SCVR number 8 is a locomotive fired up to switch out the cars. The locomotive that number 8 is pulling out is a sister engine, number 1550. And now they must be turned around so number 8 can actually push 1550 out of the turntable around this area. Actually, we're just going to have number 8 push 1550 to where number 8 was sitting, which is actually right to the right of the camera. Being that number 8 and the tank car can't both fit on the turntable properly, the locomotive will be switched out for 040 number 98. Now that number 98 is on the turntable can be rotated on the track of the Texaco tank car so that the tank car can be moved away from the auxiliary shop. Here you can see a close-up view of the 2 steam locomotives that will be operating today. On the left is a Southern 440 number 3856. And on the right is a Rio Grande 460 Dixie Bell number 3. Chesapeake and Ohio 260 number 425 backs onto the turntable as she is the lead locomotive in the 425-3856 doubleheader. 3856 is seen outside of her engine house stall in the background. 425 is seen here, leaving the turntable. With 3856 now on the turntable can be rotated so 3856 can join up with 425 on the lead turntable track. Now that the doubleheader is joined together, they can move off the lead turntable track and out of the staging area and go connect to their train. With the track clear, the doubleheader can now back down onto their train. The doubleheader is now ready to depart. The doubleheader switches back on the inner main line as they approach the station. The doubleheader is now safely at the station, and where all the passengers will be unloaded. The train is done. After uncoupling from the train, 3856 is the first locomotive to head back to the roundhouse. As with number 425, she also returns to the roundhouse area. Now that number 3 has been turned around, she can head off the turntable and go to her train. We nicknamed her Dixie because she's a Montauk 460 Dixie Bell, so we just call her the Dixie. Three now backs down onto her train. The Dixie is now ready to depart to the station to pick up her passengers. Looks like the other trains, Dixie follows the same path, going out on the outside main line to run her train. Number 3's cruising on down the main. Much like the rest of our trains, Dixie heads back into the inner main line and go to the passenger station and drop off her passengers. And that concludes the runs of 460 Dixie Bell, number 3. After uncoupling from her train, Dixie returns to the auxiliary shop. Number 98 has returned to take Dixie's train back to the station because a similar old-time Western locomotive, number 12, which has been newly restored, will be powering the next train, and will look good pulling those 2 Union Pacific Old Western coaches. Just as number 98 pushes in the train, the Siebel Locomotive's Caboose train passes by. Number 605 arrives back at the Siebel Locomotive Works with her Caboose train. Number 98 now leaves back to the yard so that number 12 can come on this track and connect to her train. Before we go see number 12 couple up to her train, we just thought we'd let you know that we are still doing the turntable demonstrations. Number 8 is just the locomotive on the turntable this time. Turntables are interesting pieces of equipment, and we are very lucky to have our own because it's very helpful with our smaller size locomotives. We do have locomotives larger than this turntable, but majority of our locomotives are not larger than the turntable pit, so it works just fine with us. This right here is locomotive number 12. It's a Model Power 040 Pennzoil Fat Boy. It's very rare and hard to find. It came here as part of our new arrivals. You can see that video later. You can see that video backtracked. It's not that far. It's fairly recent. Anyways, this locomotive needed a lot of work. I needed headlight work, cowcatcher work, needed a new tender axle, needed a new drawbar, needed new boiler jacket paint, and that has all been taken care of. We machined a new drawbar for it. We repaired the headlight and the cowcatcher, and wheel cleaning and oiling, gave it a new tender wheel on one of the trucks. Boiler jacket repaint. It's flawless now. We love it. It's a great locomotive, along with our Dixie number 3 for old-time trains. With the passengers already on board, number 12 is ready to go on outside on the main line. Now, yeah, even though she's on 040, she can still highball down the main. Am I right? Here we see number 12 heading around the corner. Just seconds ago, number 12 accidentally broke her drawbar. See, she hasn't been getting that good of contact to the rails, that's why she kept jolting. And I guess she jolted off her drawbar because there was a weld spot on the drawbar because it had cracks in it that we tried sealing up, so I guess the plastic weld broke. It's actually kind of a cement weld broke. Not a big deal, we'll just repair it, but for right now she can't finish the train, so I can call in number 98. Despite number 12's mechanical failure, or somewhat of it, 98 was still there to help bring the train back, keep the visitors happy. Today's yard tour trains are going to be powered by our Southern Pacific 040 number 33. Number 33 can now go to the inner Mainline station to go pick up the passengers, and the yard tour, therefore, can begin. With today's yard tour, you pretty much see everything that you saw yesterday, except for the locomotives in the main shop, which have changed. That is because the locomotives in the main shop today are the ones that operated yesterday. See, there's number 1 in the middle, the climax, 25, the 2662 on the right, number 66, the 060, right there on the left. There's 2486. It looks still the same. And after making a couple runs around the inner main line, the 33 returns to the roundhouse area to drop off the last few people from the yard tour to get a once-in-a-lifetime tour of the SCVR roundhouse terminal area. And this is where the yard tour ends for the grand opening. 33 heads out back to her home in the main shop. We still have one more train to board, and that is pulled behind Reading 282 Camelback number 1608. Our 282 Camelback number 1608 will be pulling our last train for the grand opening. The coaches were already in the siding after we pulled out the excursion car so that it could do the yard tour train earlier in the program. And now 1608 is coupled up to the train and it is ready to depart. The usual ritual of going on to the outer main line. Here's number 1608, heading around the SCVR main. After turning from Saugus, number 1608 turns back into the inner main line so you can go drop off her passengers. And that there, my friends, concludes the Santa Clarita Valley Railroad grand opening. I apologize if there are any locomotives that are sputtering and whatnot. Few track issues and connection issues will be resolved. Problems on any of the engines are going to be resolved. Don't worry, we're just going to make ancient locomotives and action series even better. But I really hope you guys all enjoyed the Santa Clarita Valley Railroad grand opening. It's been quite a few months building this line, and it's taken a while. A couple setbacks and a couple goods and bads to get to where we are now, but now I'm thrilled because now I can run a lot of trains and I can just enjoy it now and stop. The layout is finished, so I can stop working and start playing. So thank you guys all very much for watching, and this is the Santa Clarita Valley Railroad grand opening. For more info, go to scvr.weebly.com. Thank you very much.